what are we talking about today?
Okay, so I have many questions, and you told me you managed to make an idea live in like 8 days.
Yeah.
Like, this sounds crazy.
Exactly.
So how did you do it?
The idea is that end customer is coming into a dealership and has an own car, an old vehicle, and wants a new one. And the idea is to resolve the configuration, so the equipment and the whole specification of the old vehicle, and to find a similar one, but from Mercedes Benz. So we are talking about Mercedes Benz here in this case, and in this solution you can come with a BMW, and our system is then providing a similar configuration from the Mercedes Benz portfolio. So for example, you have a 320D, so a 3 series from BMW, and then our system will recommend you a Mercedes C-Class, for example, with the corresponding motorization and with a similar equipment specification.
I think that's amazing, because usually when I'm shopping something, and even sometimes I try to ask ChatGPT or whatever AI I'm using at the moment, like, hey, help me this and that, and there's like 100,000 options.
Exactly.
And it's overwhelming. And then they come like, oh, but do you want this or do you want that? And it's like, no, just something functional. So when you have a car that already works for you and you can just translate it to Mercedes-Benz, it's just amazing.
Exactly. And the main idea was not to have the perfect similar configuration. The main idea is to have a starting point. That you do not have to start by zero, so that you can, for example, say, okay, the customer already had, for example, a head-up display, and he don't want to miss it in the new car. So then we have a better starting point, and our solution is also able to configure this similar vehicle. So you can, for example, make an upgrade. You can switch from C-Class to E-Class, for example. You can switch the motorization, and you can also change the configuration itself. So you can add some equipment or remove some equipment. Depends on what the customer really wants.
That's great, and I think it's also an advantage that a brand like Mercedes-Benz has, because, for example, I was checking all the brands the other day just to go through different car configurators and test them, and for other brands you just have like 3 options. It feels so limited, and Mercedes-Benz has like so many.
Yeah,
I cannot count them.
Overwhelming. Yeah, exactly. It's too much, and I think this is the solution in the middle, because you have the possibility to configure whatever you want. So you have the whole range of all the equipment, but you are starting in a very similar vehicle, or with a very similar vehicle. And I think this is the main use case here, because the customer and also the retail stuff, so the salesman, for example, wants to save time, and
definitely
they save much time in this case.
Okay, so this is great for Mercedes, for the one selling Mercedes, and for the customer. But what impressed me the most was the 8 days deadline.
Exactly.
How?
Let's talk about the 8 days. So the magic key was the preparation.
Okay.
The preparation was really the most important thing, because we started with the project on Tuesday, I think, and then in the first day we just collected all the information we had. We had system access to the Mercedes-Benz APIs. We had system access to the foreign brand APIs. So in this case, it was DAT, the Deutsche Automobiltreuhand, and we have system access to the configurator. Then we analyzed the data. This was the most important stuff, because we had to understand, okay, 3 systems, 3 different kind of data modules, 3 different kind of, how can I say, you cannot compare data from A with data from B. You have to find out a solution how you can compare it. And this was a place where we started with AI, because we told the system, here, this is your old vehicle, and then we had a multi-step approach. At first, got all the available models, and then we tried to match a similar model. in this
Okay.
case. Then we had a similar model, and then we asked the system deterministic, not with AI, give me the initial configuration, give me all the selectable equipment, everything what is available, provide me please a complete catalog what is available. And then we also make an AI call to compare the equipments one by one, and then we also calculated a confidence score, how similar the equipments are to each other, and then we collect all the results, and we had the new vehicle from Mercedes-Benz for our customer. This was the idea.
Okay, great. So many companies now are trying to integrate AI in any of the different processes they have in the company, but I think this is the step they're missing. They're not cleaning the data, they're not normalizing it, and what we found is like, for example, I don't know, my name, and one system can be Mary, and the other one Mary Jean, the other one Mary Giraldo, blah blah blah, and AI doesn't recognize this as the same person, so then they just have mismatches of data, double data, and then can you call it dirty, messy data? And then AI is working with this, and then the result is chaos.
So I think everyone knows it. The data lakes are more or less island data lakes. So they are coupled, they are closed, and therefore you have, for example, different variation of the same information. What you mentioned, Mary G, whatever. So these are two variants of your name, and it's the same piece of information in this case. So this is what you should consider in the first step, that you can make a bridge between the information, and this is where AI is really helping us, because he has a semantic understanding. So he do not need a one-by-one equality. It's okay to have a very similar value, and then AI makes the rest for us. So this was the idea. And coming back to the 8 days, 1 day preparation phase, then we had, I think, 3 days of implementation, and then the prototype was working.
Amazing.
After 4 days, so we are talking about 4 days, we talked to our customer and made a presentation. So we presented the current result, and then they had some additional requirements. Can you please adapt this and that and make this available? So then we spent another 2 days to implement all the new requirements, and then we were really finished. And the last 2 days were really rollout, because we had to make it available in the internet. It must be integrated in a different application, because it was a completely new greenfield approach.
Okay.
And this application was integrated in an existing process from our customer. So we also need two further days to make the integration possible in this case.
Amazing. And you tested already, right?
Yeah. Also completely with test cases, with smoke tests, with everything, because we implemented at Savitech a workflow. So it's some kind of template we are trying to use for each project, that the AI is able to support us in the requirement phase, to support us in the planning phase, to support us in the implementation, to support us in Q&A and testing, and so on and so on. So what we did is we checked out the whole process, divide and conquered it in separate pieces, and these separate pieces were automatically or semi-automatically supported by AI. That's the idea.
Amazing. How much do you think AI was helping you in each of the phases? Because I don't think it's the same in every phase.
Yeah. I think the initial phase was really handmade, so the preparation, because we needed the knowledge of the customer's data, of the customer's system landscape, and so on. And this is what we already had in this project. So from our past projects, we already had all the system accesses, experiences, and the knowledge. So this is where the AI couldn't help very well in this case. But we had a new system, the DAT, and the AI could help us to understand and to map the logic of DAT to our customers' data landscape, because this is where AI is really strong. They can identify patterns and identify, how can I say, the AI was able to make a business mapping from the completely new system to the existing knowledge from us in this case. And this is where the AI was helping a little bit. In the implementation phase, to be honest, it was to, I don't know, 80-90%
Okay.
AI driven, and only a senior developer was watching and tracking the results and made some corrections if something went wrong in this case. And the Q&A and testing phase was nearly 100% automatically, because we used, for example, Chrome MCP. We opened this application and we wrote some test cases, and the AI was able to use our new application. So AI was entering a vehicle identifier into the system, clicking on the button, scrolling up, scrolling down, comparing the results, and so on and so on. It was like a human. It was like a human in this case. So I think overall 80%, 90%, something like this. But in the different phases, more or less.
Which ones were you using? It's just one, it's a combination?
Yeah. It was only one AI. We used the Claude API because it was also a little bit restricted. Our customer has an approval to use Claude. They have an enterprise version of Claude, so we were able to use their own endpoints and their own Claude API. And this was the one and only AI service we used. This was the project.
Crazy. And now for the new clients, what can we do for them?
Nearly the same, exactly the same. No, not exactly the same. But what we can do for new clients is, if the client is able to get access to the data, or to give us access to the data, and to provide us some business description, some old documentation or new documentation about their technical stuff, so data model, architecture, and so on, then we are able to adapt exactly this kind of project for each customer. So we can
for any product, right? Any software, any tool they require.
Exactly.
Crazy good.
Exactly. Short summarized: 8 days, 1 day preparation, 3 days development, then a milestone, talking to the customer, get some feedback, then 2 further days of development to fulfill the new requirements, and then 2 days of going live with the application.